Before we get started, if you want step-by-step guidance from me to improve your technique, you need to check out my video courses. Go to onlinearcheryacademy.com, click Explore the Courses for a special discount. Now let's get into the video. Foam or wood limbs? This is a question we get asked quite a lot, and I think on your channel the other day, Mike, someone asked this question specifically for recurve limbs, didn't they?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a fair question because I know I get it all the time. You're buying a new, Wes, when you're buying the new pair of limbs and you can literally have either, that's when it becomes this. If you're looking at secondhand limbs, then straight off the bat, I'll just give you the easy answer. Doesn't matter. If they're the right size and the right weight for you, go buy them. Don't worry a jot about which they are. But it's when you've got that choice. You're spending your, I was about to say $500, I'll correct myself. You're going to spend your $1,000 or $1,500 and you have this choice. I think both Win and Win and Hoyt, and I think even some of the other brands have a choice of, what do they call it? It's not filler material. Is it insert material they call it?
It's the core, yeah. It's like wood core
the
or foam core.
That's the word, the core. Because of course, most of the stiffness is coming from layers of carbon fiber, and it is just that core. So where do you stand? And then I'll fill you in with
kind of your thoughts as well. Thoughts. Yeah. So personally, I spent most of my time shooting wood at the later end of my career. Once I realized that was the limb that I liked, I started with a mix. Basically, I started with foam limbs at one point. I had G3s, I think they were foam, and then I had some Hoyt 990 TXs, Hoyt 900 CXs. I think they were both foam. I can't remember exactly.
But I think that was around the time period where they started giving you a choice. Because at the beginning of my career, it was definitely you buy G3s, they're foam. That's the end of the matter. And it was
buy another pair.
Don't be so mean, Ash. They were fantastic limbs. Later on is when they started to give you this choice. And even when you read all of the published material, it's not exactly pushing you in one direction or other. It's like...
Yeah, it's very much like both are amazing. Pick which one, right? So it can be pretty confusing.
Both of those descriptions are true.
Yeah. Yeah,
so
true.
If I'm coming to you as your new student...
Yeah.
What do you ask me? How do you... How do you inform me?
Yeah. So there's two things really. One is how you like the clicker to feel when you're pulling through the clicker. Because some people really like a super smooth, pulling through the clicker. They want it buttery smooth. Other people prefer kind of, I wouldn't call it a wall, but they prefer having to pull against something a little bit more. That's actually
in the old days we used to call that stacking limbs, but that was a negative term. So now I think they call it a firm wall or a firm backstop or something. They try not to use the word stack.
Yeah. So that's actually normally the second thing I always think of. The first thing I always ask is whether someone's got a shoulder injury on their draw side.
Really? You ask that? That would never have crossed my mind.
Yeah. So this is a little bit, I'm going to have to remember because it's been a while since I've had a look at this foam/wood. But essentially, if you've got a shoulder injury and you're feeling like it's at full draw, on release, that jolt is making it worse. I normally advise people against wood limbs because I know of a lot of archers, even international archers, that shoot 400 or 500 arrows a day or whatever, and particularly with some of the stiff Korean limbs, Win and Wins or MKs, they've had the wood core MKs or Win and Wins, they found it can aggravate their shoulder because of that stiffer bit through the expansion. And then they've switched to some Hoyt limbs that are foam and they're much smoother, and they haven't had that problem. And at the time, when someone told me this first, I was like, okay, yeah, whatever. That's a load of rubbish.
Yeah.
But then once, 2, 3, 4, 6,
no, they
8
do.
people have told me.
They do feel smoother. I mean, that is interesting. I had never put two and two together, so I've learned something today. That is a reasonable thing to consider. Yeah, it makes perfect sense, but I wouldn't have thought about that.
Quickly, there are 2 more ways that I can help you improve your archery. If you go to onlinearcheryacademy.com and click Become a Member, you can join my exclusive membership community where you can ask questions for Q&As, get exclusive videos, become part of a community of archers worldwide, and get loads of tips and tricks and guides in all these sections here that you can't get anywhere else. If you don't want to do anything paid at the moment, that's fine as well. And you can actually get my free email newsletter by just simply putting your email address in on the front page of onlinearcheryacademy.com. Now back to the video. And the other caveat to that, just on that injury point, is if your shoulder injury, if you feel like it's being made worse by you've got quite a short pre-draw and you're quite far reaching forwards, or you're up like this, and someone is feeling like that's what's making their injury, then the bit of full draw and the bit of expansion is fine, then actually for them, I advise the wood limbs. Because of the stacking, they are actually a little bit smoother earlier on in the bit where you might be stretched
smoother,
forwards.
softer. Yeah, I can. Yep.
So it's kind of like, do you have an injury? Where is like what's making the injury? And then if you do, that's like the first number one thing. And then the number two thing is like, how do you want it to feel? That's kind of my thoughts on that. But I don't know, what's your experience been and what are your thoughts with that?
The last time I done a bow survey at a major world-class event, there was really a divide between the genders. It was really surprising. By far, foam limbs were more popular with the women, and by far the wood limbs were more popular with the men. And I think, and it's not always some people tell me I'm wrong, but generally speaking, I find the wood limbs a fraction slower when we're talking about Hoyt. I must say this is a Hoyt thing, the Win and Wins. They've had so many different limbs, I've sort of lost track. But with the Hoyt ones, generally I would consider the wood ones a fraction slower, a fraction
that would be
softer.
Same Win and Win as well.
Because of that, like you said, they're just less aggressive, or whatever, whichever way you want to call it. So I didn't know whether it's because, as I found, when I'm shooting 53 pounds, it truly doesn't matter to me if I lose a little bit of bow speed. If I lose a little bit of bow speed, I preferred the wooden limbs when I actually had 2 sets, 2 bows, tried them. I preferred the wooden limbs. They just felt a little bit softer, a little bit easier. And it doesn't matter to me if I drop from 209 feet per second to 207 feet per second. It doesn't matter because I've got speed to spare. Now, maybe if I'm at the lower end of the bow scale, bow draw weight range, maybe I benefit more from the foam limbs. But the sad truth is, you can just say it doesn't. You can be flippant and say it really doesn't matter. They're both great limbs, but they are different. But when someone's never tried them, it's really hard to sort of know. Yeah, it's good that you can't go wrong. Like if you think about the best score you ever shot, and you said you'd be using wooden limbs. I mean, what do you think you really would have shot if you had the foam limbs? You know, do you actually? You might like one more than the other, but would it actually have scored different? So probably I like that because it's not like it's one of the things as a coach, I'm not going to get it wrong. It might be that 10 years later when they're on the national team and they can try both limbs, they realise, I've liked wood limbs all along. Well, I don't feel as if I've held your career back when I told you to go buy a set of foam limbs.
No, that's true.
The priority is getting the right weight and the right size. That is by far. And generally speaking, if they're on the lower end if they've got no opinion, if they're on the lower weight ranges, I nearly always go for foam. And if they're on the higher end, then I sometimes suggest wood. But I don't have a strong conviction. And I spoke to Hoyt about this, if they could add more information into the website. Yeah, just because giving someone some direction, even if it's not 100%, just giving them some way of making that decision, because I come across people who are just so often totally and utterly confused. And I don't exactly walk in there and add clarity.
Because I guess they might not know.
But I give them the confidence that you're not going to get it wrong. And then I sometimes ask them, do you want a snappy bow, or do you want something a bit softer? Because on the Hoyts, the wooden ones, they feel a bit softer. But the performance difference, maybe the wooden ones are a little bit more softer on the arrows as well, just a little bit. And my arrows were always just a touch on the weak side. And when I went to the next size up, they didn't group as well. So I think maybe I preferred the wood ones because they just were a little bit kinder to my arrows, and I didn't want to have to go to the next size up. So these are all really minor things. But if someone said, look, I'm going to give you some limbs, but you have to shoot foam limbs for the rest of your life, I'm not going to have any problem with that whatsoever.
Yeah. It's a good point with I would agree with that as well. Like the foam ones are a little bit faster and they do make arrows a little bit weaker, don't they? So it's just like very minor.
Last time I read the Win and Win website, I remember reading it and there was more detail about these limbs are more aggressive at the back. And there was, because I remember a real eye-opener to me was back the old bow company called Samick, who sadly went bust, I think. They might still have their name out there, but the company is really gone. And they had a limb called the Expert limb.
Yes.
And they were very aggressive at the back end. They stacked, for want of a better word. And when I was talking to their rep about this, he's like, yes, that's why we call them Expert. Only experts should use these. This was a seminar, actually. And I said, so what do you call Expert? And at that time, we were shooting the feet around. And he said, maybe just for people who shoot over 1325. Now, at the time, no one in the UK had scored over 1325 who was currently shooting. So it was you've just told me that no one in the UK should buy these limbs. But to him, it was like, well, we called them Expert. We wrote it it's the biggest word on the box. You know,
you can't fault them.
He wrote Expert on there as an instruction, not as a marketing slogan. And he truly thought if you didn't shoot 1325, so that's the equivalent of 660 something, yes, I guess?
I think it would be more, to be honest. I think it would be 670, but yeah.
So if you'd have put in big orange letters, if you don't shoot 670, leave alone, their sales in the UK would have been very easy to calculate. So even the bow manufacturers are aware of, they make different limbs for different people. And if you're super fit, super strong professional, you like a different limb to the everyday club archer, because the everyday club archer did not like Samick Expert limbs. And Samick would say, you should have read the box.
You should have heeded the label. So hopefully that's given a little bit more clarity. Has like many things, I think it has. Like many things, it's not not really clear cut, is it? But I think that's good for some people to be like, okay, how's my shoulder feeling? Do I like the feeling of if you can try foam limbs from a friend at the club or something, or some wood limbs, that kind of thing. And if you're struggling for distance, foam is a good shout, I think. But like you said, Mike, you can't go wrong. So if
you're looking for second-hand limbs, don't worry. Just make sure they're the right size, the right weight. Don't worry about
everything
Don't
else.
hesitate.
But yeah, so hopefully that's useful. Let us know in the comments if you shoot wood or foam limbs, and if you've shot both, what your feeling is of either, because that would be interesting to kind of hear. And if anyone has shot, if anyone who doesn't shoot 1325 has shot some Samick Expert limbs, let us know what you thought of them.
Or if someone has a magic formula that tells you which to have. I'd be happy to receive it. All suggestions welcome.
Exactly, yeah. So hopefully that was helpful, and we'll see you in the next video.